The film industry is dead. Rest in peace. Or is it? Let's talk about it. So if you're an actor, a director, an indie filmmaker, a sound designer, a composer, an editor, an aspiring actor, or any of those things in between, you may have noticed that the film industry in places like Atlanta, where I am, and even all over the place, has kind of come to a screeching halt. Now, why is that? Well, most people who work in the industry know that the strikes that have gone on with the Writers Guild, the sag-aftra strikes, as well as the IATSE crew strikes have all sort of taken their toll on the film industry as we know it in 2024. Now, that's not to say things aren't still being filmed. They definitely still are. I get auditions occasionally, and a lot of people that I know also still get auditions that are actors, and a lot of people are still working on projects that are shooting in town. I actually saw some yellow production signs just the other day when I was driving around town. So productions are still active. They're just not nearly as active as they once were. Now, you could say this is really bad, especially if you're an actor and this is how you make a living, or if you're a crew member and this is how you make a living. This is really bad news for you, because that is how, that's your bread and butter and that's your livelihood. And I understand that. But for those of us who may have just been dabbling in it, maybe that's not our full-time gig, maybe we've always had to have another job in order to survive, which I feel like is the case for most people in the film industry, especially as actors. No, most of us can't just work as an actor. It's just not possible, and it doesn't really even matter which market you're in. But I started thinking about it, and a lot of my friends are like, they're kind of down in the dumps because they're not getting auditions and they're not finding work. But I'm thinking to myself, this actually could be a good thing. And you're thinking, well, how could it be good? Because the film industry has just stopped. Well, I kind of look at it this way. Hollywood has been such a behemoth juggernaut over the years that us little people, little guys, really haven't had a chance to sort of shine, because there's always going to be Hollywood, multi-million-dollar tentpole films being made, and but if you may have noticed, the way we consume content has kind of changed. And, I've even shifted my focus, which is why I started making a lot more of these YouTube videos, because I used to be strictly narrative content and I only made feature films, short films. And I've shifted to almost entirely doing YouTube videos, because that is what I consume more of now, and that is what I feel more people consume now than any other kind of media. They're not watching TV shows just like they were. They aren't going to the movies like they were. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. That just means that the landscape is changing, and if you want to kind of stay with the times, you have to change with it. And that is the reason why I am telling everyone that just because you think the film industry is dead doesn't mean that it has to be dead for you. You can go out and film content yourself. You can go out and make your own short films. You can go out and make your own YouTube videos. You can write scripts. This is a perfect time to hone your skills if you're an actor. But for me specifically, as a filmmaker, I'm looking at this as a time for me to be able to break through what was ordinarily impossible, because there was so much being filmed and so much stuff going on that no one would pay attention to little old Joe who was making his own movies. But I have a feature film coming out very soon, and you'll hear all about that very, very soon. We've been working on that for multiple years now, and it's hit so many different roadblocks. But now I think is maybe even the perfect time for us to release this movie, because there's so much else not happening that people are going to be more willing to give what I did a chance, because they're not inundated with so much stuff coming at them, because the film industry, as we already talked about, is kind of at a standstill right now. So this is a perfect time, if you're a filmmaker, to get out there and make that short film you've been thinking about making. Get out and make that feature film that you've been thinking about making. And I know we all need money for these projects, and that's still going to be a hurdle that you have to overcome. But I still say, as an indie filmmaker, this is probably the absolute best time for you to be able to get your name out there, because you don't have all of this other stuff taking the attention away from you. You can actually be seen by, all of these people that ordinarily could care less about what you have to say or what you're trying to make. So I say all that to say, don't be discouraged by the film industry being what it is. I believe that it's going to come back, and it's going to come back stronger than ever, but it's going to be different, and we have to be ready for the fact that it's going to be different, and we have to be prepared for the fact that it is not going to be the same as it was. We don't consume content the same way we used to. So if you can go ahead and wrap your head around that as a filmmaker, it will help you move forward, because all of your projects you can kind of base everything that you're going to do around the fact that people are just consuming media differently than they used to. If you just watch the people around you. You know, if you're riding the bus, or you're on the train, or you're at a restaurant, you'll see people scrolling through their phones. They're watching TikTok, they're watching Instagram, they're watching Facebook Reels, they're watching YouTube like you are right now. And I don't even know how many hours of YouTube content I consume per day, but I spend most of my day, even when I'm working my normal job, sitting at a computer. And when I'm not doing something, I have another window open watching YouTube, or I have my phone out scrolling through Instagram. I don't watch TV and I don't watch movies nearly as much as I did, but if the content was delivered to me in a way that made sense for how I consume content now, maybe I would. So keep that in mind as the landscape continues to change. Get out there and make whatever you want to make, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because this is the perfect time, if you're a filmmaker, to get out there and shine. So I'm just a nobody on the internet making movies, trying to get his name out there. You can be that too, so don't be discouraged. The film industry, it'll be back eventually, but you don't gotta wait for it to come back. All right, guys, that's all I got for this video. If you like this content, you want to see more like it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the film industry. How is it affecting you? Are you still out there making stuff? Let me know.